My name is Emily, and I am from a small, peaceful town in Texas, USA. Life here was simple, quiet, and comforting. I was married to Daniel, the love of my life, and together we had built a beautiful family. We had two wonderful children, Leo, who was 10 years old, and Maya, who was only 5. Everything in our lives felt perfect. We were happy, content, and surrounded by love. It felt as though we had everything we needed: our home, our family, and each other. But as life often teaches us, nothing is guaranteed to last forever. It was only a matter of time before everything I knew and loved would be taken from me. The event that changed my life forever happened on an ordinary evening. Daniel had left work early that day, excited to spend the evening with us. We had planned to have dinner together, to laugh, to talk about our day, but the phone call I received that evening shattered everything. It was a call that I will never forget for the rest of my life. Daniel had been in a car accident on his way home. He didn't survive. The world stopped turning in that moment. The room around me seemed to fade away, and the air felt thick, as if it were suffocating me. I couldn't breathe. My heart raced, and my mind refused to accept what I was hearing. How could this be real? How could it be happening to us? I kept asking myself the same question over and over again, but there was no answer. The love of my life, the father of my children, was gone, and just like that, my entire world crumbled beneath me. I don't know how I managed to tell Leo and Maya. Leo, who had always been so strong for his age, immediately burst into tears, calling out for his father. Maya, who was still so young, didn't fully understand the gravity of the situation, but she could feel the heaviness in the air. She asked, "Where is Daddy? Why isn't he here?" All I could do was hold her and whisper, "Daddy is in heaven now, sweetie." I don't think she understood, but it was the only thing I could say. How do you explain something like this to a 5-year-old? The days that followed were a blur. The funeral, the visitors, the condolences. It all felt like a dream. I could hardly keep my eyes open, let alone process what was happening. Daniel was supposed to be here with us. He was supposed to watch Leo grow into a young man and see Maya blossom into a beautiful girl. He was supposed to grow old with me, and we would continue our lives together, enjoying the quiet beauty of the countryside. But the problem is, that dream was no longer a reality. I spent the next few weeks in a haze. I couldn't bring myself to go back to work. I couldn't even bring myself to leave the house. I would wake up each morning, hoping that it had all been a bad dream, only to realize that it wasn't. I would look around our home, and everything reminded me of him. His shoes by the door, his jacket hanging on the back of the chair, his voice echoing in the halls. He was everywhere, and yet he was nowhere. The worst part was that I had no idea how to keep going. How could I continue living without him? How could I raise Leo and Maya without their father by my side? The weight of it all was too much to bear. I felt like I was drowning. My heart ached for Daniel, for the life we would never have, and for my children who were now growing up without their dad. I was supposed to be the strong one, the one who held everything together, but in reality I was falling apart. I didn't know how to handle my grief, let alone theirs. The problem is, I didn't know how to fix everything, but in the midst of my grief, there was something that kept me going. My children. They were hurting, and I needed to be there for them. I couldn't afford to fall apart completely, not while they still needed me. They looked to me for comfort, for answers, and for reassurance. I had to find a way to keep moving forward, even when every part of me wanted to give up. I had to be strong for them, for Leo and Maya. One afternoon, while cleaning the house, I came across something that I had forgotten about: Daniel's journal. He had kept it for years, writing in it about his thoughts, his dreams, and his love for me and our family. I had never read it before, but something told me that now was the time to look. As I opened the journal and flipped through the pages, I found his beautiful words about his love for me, about how grateful he was for our family, and how proud he was of our children. I could feel his love in every word. One entry in particular stood out to me. It was a message that he had written for me, just in case something ever happened to him. He had written, "Emily, no matter what happens, always remember that you are stronger than you think. Life may bring you pain and challenges, but you have the strength to overcome them. Love our children with all your heart, and never forget that I will always be with you, even if you can't see me. You are never alone." Those words hit me like a wave. It was as if Daniel was speaking to me from beyond the grave, reassuring me that I wasn't alone. I wasn't sure if I could find the strength to continue, but reading that entry gave me a small spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, I could keep going. For him, for my children. And so I decided that I had to try. I couldn't let grief consume me completely. I couldn't let it take everything from me. I started taking small steps. I began going back to work, even though it felt impossible. I started talking to Leo and Maya more about their father, sharing stories and memories of the man we all loved. We made a memory box together, filling it with pictures, notes, and small items that reminded us of Daniel. It became a way for us to keep his memory alive, a way for us to feel connected to him, even though he was no longer physically here. Gradually, I began to heal. It wasn't easy, and there were still days when I felt overwhelmed by sadness. But with each passing day, I felt a little stronger. I started to find comfort in the small things, the laughter of my children, the quiet moments of reflection, and the little memories of Daniel that would bring a smile to my face. I would take walks through the places we used to visit together, and instead of feeling sadness, I began to feel gratitude. Daniel had been a part of those moments, and those moments would stay with me forever. I also realized that I had to let go of the idea of perfection. My life would never be the same, and that was okay. It was okay to grieve, but it was also okay to find happiness again. I had to allow myself to feel joy, even though it felt wrong at first. I had to be patient with myself, understanding that healing takes time, and that there was no right way to grieve. I could honor Daniel's memory by living my life fully, by continuing to love and care for my children, and by finding joy in the small things. Leo and Maya, too, began to heal in their own ways. Leo, though he still missed his father deeply, began to excel in his studies and his hobbies. Maya, who had once been so confused by her father's absence, began to find comfort in the memory box we had made. She would look at the pictures and tell me stories about the things she remembered about Daniel. It was a bittersweet experience, but it helped us all come to terms with the fact that while Daniel was no longer here, his love would never leave us. The road ahead was not easy. There were still days of sorrow, still moments when the weight of grief felt unbearable. But I knew now that it was okay to cry, and it was okay to smile. Life would continue, and we would continue with it. I had learned that, even in the face of loss, there was still beauty to be found, and that sometimes we have to let go of the past in order to embrace the future. As I sit here today, I look at my children and feel a deep sense of gratitude. We've come a long way since that dark day when Daniel passed away. We've found strength, we've found peace, and we've found love. We may not be the family we once were, but we are still a family. We carry Daniel's love with us, and we always will. And that, I believe, is enough.